Hi, Jenny here. St. Patrick's Day is coming up, so I looked online to see what kind of recipes there are because I didn't want to make something that was dessert related. And I saw something called shepherd's pie. Looks kind of like a casserole dish, so I thought, well, that would be good to make. I've never made it before, so we'll see if I like it or not. So today we are going to make Irish shepherd's pie. Let's get started. For this recipe we are going to need 2 tablespoons of butter divided, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 cup of diced onion, 2 pounds of ground lamb, 1/3 cup of flour, salt and pepper to taste, 1 teaspoon of paprika, 1/8 teaspoon of cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of rosemary, 3 cloves of garlic minced, 1 tablespoon of ketchup, 2½ cups of water, 12 ounces of frozen peas and carrots, 2½ pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes, 1/4 cup of cream cheese, 4 ounces of sharp Irish cheddar, and 1 egg beat with 2 tablespoons of milk. We are going to start by getting the potatoes boiling. Basically, this recipe is going to call for mashed potatoes on top. So just go ahead and peel all your potatoes and either cut them up. We'll cut them up to boil them like we're making mashed potatoes. I've seen this recipe made several different ways. Some people just put their potatoes in the oven whole like this, almost like you're making baked potatoes. Granted, without any of the foil on there or anything. Just on a baking tray. And you can cook them that way. Some people just cut their potatoes in half and boiled them in the water. I would think that that would take a little bit longer because to get the middles of the potatoes softened, it's going to take a while for the heat to get in there. So I like to generally, I don't know, cut my potatoes in eighths or something like that. So I cut them in half and then cut them in more pieces and all that. So whichever way you would like to cook your potatoes, that will get them soft. Because as I said, ultimately we are putting a layer of mashed potatoes on top of our meat portion. So we're going to get all that boiling. It usually takes about 20 minutes-ish or so. And then while the potatoes are getting softened, we will go ahead with our meat mixture and get that going and prepared. So I'm going to go ahead and finish preparing my potatoes. We're going to go ahead and first rinse the potatoes, drain them off, and then fill this up with water until the potatoes are covered for about 2 to 3 inches. So I like to rinse the potatoes first and drain that to get some of that starch off. Okay, go ahead and turn your stove on high. Again, we'll get those boiling. And we're going to add just a little bit of salt to the baking water. Next we will dice up our 1 cup of onion and then go ahead and mince our garlic cloves. This week at the store, the onions were a little bit bigger, so usually half an onion is 1 cup's worth. So whenever I do have extra onion left over, I will dice that up and I put it in the freezer, and then I have it ready to go for another recipe. Now to start get cooking. Woohoo! So over a medium-low heat, we are going to go ahead with 1 of the tablespoons of butter. We're going to save the other one for our potatoes. And a tablespoon of oil. And we'll get that. Let's put that over there. We'll get this all melted in together. And then go ahead and cook our lamb and onions together. Now I guess lamb is more of a traditional Irish meat. I have seen that some people make this dish with ground beef. I was going to use ground beef. I've never cooked with lamb before. I've never had lamb. My husband was willing to try. He's like, okay, well, this is traditionally Irish with the lamb. He's like, then let's try it. Let's do it. So I found these ground up packages. They came in 1.5 pound-ish packages, 1.4. So I said, well, we could go less meat or we could go more. And he was all for going for more. Maybe we'll just do the other half. I don't know how much of it will fit in my pan. This is the largest pan I have. Unless I guess I would do a pot, stock pot, but I think maybe. I was going to use it all, but I guess I'm just going to go with half of this. So again, that'll be about that 2 pounds of ground lamb. Looks like ground beef. It's red like ground beef. I looked up the benefits of lamb, and those onions in there right away too. It says, like, just like with ground beef, it has a lot of iron. In fact, it may be just a little bit better than ground beef. It has a lot of omega-3s, which are good for helping with inflammation. And it has a lot of the B vitamins. So again, figure everything in moderation. I usually eat more chicken. Once in a while, I'll have something beef-like. So whether I make, oh, my chilies are usually 3 bean. I have made meat chili. I made the American goulash, spaghetti. do a spaghetti sauce. Hamburgers. Well, that's either usually a summer thing when we're grilling. We're grilling out, we'll do our hamburgers, but even that we don't make a lot at home. So sometimes when we go out to the restaurant, that's something that I'll have because, again, it's something I don't make at home. But I think I saw somebody saying that if it was, oh, I forgot now. I saw one person make it with ground beef, and she said then she called it something else. And the one guy that was making it with the lamb was joking that if you made it with ground beef, would it be called a cow pie? He's saying the shepherds herd the sheep. That so with all the flavors in here, lamb I guess does have a distinct flavor to it. So we should be able to taste that when all is said and done. They also say lamb is a little bit watery. So as this cooks, we will get water in the pan, and you want to just keep cooking it down till that water pretty much disappears, and it's going to make a coating on the bottom of the pan, and that's what helps also add flavor to the dish. So this is going to take a good 10-15 minutes, so I will kind of fast forward through this until we're all cooked. While we are waiting for the juice to still evaporate from the meat, we'll go ahead and test our potatoes. I think they've been boiling long enough, so you want to make sure that they're fork tender, and they are. So I'm going to go ahead and drain those. Turn that off. And we'll take those off the heat. Add our extra tablespoon of butter. We have our butter in the potatoes. We will add our cream cheese. So that can melt in there. And our sharp cheddar. This is an Irish sharp cheddar. Kerrygold. Well, my my focusing is there. We found this in the bakery section. So if you can't find this, then just the sharp cheddar will do. This is about 7 ounces. We need about 4 ounces. I was thinking I could use my food processor, but I thought, well, let me try my microplaner. Like I said, we need about half of this. So I thought that way too, it will make it small and easy to melt. Sure as I have my hand over the steam. And backwards to showing you guys. cheesy potatoes. Well, this is working very nicely. I didn't know what to expect. I haven't used a microplaner on cheese before. I did look that up also on the internet. Said, can I use a microplaner? They said, sure. And I'm like, okay. As opposed to my grater, which is fairly difficult to use. Finally getting some of that glaze on the bottom of the pan. It's supposed to be happening, and the beef is finally browning. It's supposed to all be that nice dark brown color in the end here, so it's taken longer than expected, but we will keep going. We'll go ahead and mash all this up together. Hopefully cream cheese is soft enough. Get all that cheesy goodness in there. You can use your potato masher, handy dandy little potato masher. You could use an electric mixer. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and beat up our egg. We've got that egg in the milk, and we'll add that in. That all nice and creamy. All right. The meat is finally getting there. Go just a little bit longer. Alright, the meat is smelling more done now. It's got that nice brown coloration. There's a little bit of glazing on the bottom of the pan, not a whole lot, but we're going to go ahead and continue. So, we will add, once again, a little salt and pepper to taste. We have a teaspoon of paprika. Dumped 2 teaspoons of rosemary. Eighth of a teaspoon of cinnamon. Sounds like, I feel like there should be more. More cinnamon. I want to taste. Alright. Tablespoon or so of ketchup. Good, measure it. Mess up your spoon. Oh, you know what? I think this might be new. It is. Look at that. I haven't used our ketchup yet. Alrighty. tablespoonish of that. Ouch. Oh, so mix all that in. The lamb is finally darkened up some. That's the coloring that I saw that it's supposed to be. Alright. I'm going to add a cup and a half of water to help get everything off the bottom of the pan. And our peas and carrots. Now again, you can use frozen peas and carrots, or you can chop up your own carrots, use them fresh. We're going to cook this for about another 5 minutes, and then we'll put it into a 9 by 11 baking dish. Oh, you know what else? I forgot the flour. That's why I'm like, I'm like, the fluid is supposed to thicken up some, but I'm like, okay, how is it gonna thicken? Oh, flour. Get our flour in there. There we go. Supposed to have added that a tad earlier, but that's okay. It'll still work. Do what it's supposed to do. Oh, turning off the camera to this, I glance at the counter and I still have my garlic. Forgot, we need to add that too, along with our other spices. Silly me, that's why I usually try to put everything right here by the, lined up by the stove, so that I know, oh yeah, this is what I need to do. Add this ingredient and this one, and silly me. Gotta get the garlic in there. I like the garlic. This is already thickening up a little bit, so that's very nice. Let's get that mixed in well. I did see in some other recipes that they also added a couple different ingredients. Like, as opposed to the water, you could add broth. Some people think the lamb has enough flavor, so you don't need the broth, even though the broth adds just a little bit of flavor. So again, either vegetable broth or beef broth. And then as opposed to ketchup, you could use tomato paste. And what was the other one I saw? Oh, wine. I saw some people actually, again, instead of water or broth, they added a cup of red wine. I don't have red wine in the house, so I think I have red wine vinegar. That would not taste the same, so we're not doing that. So again, there are options. Depending on if you like this when you make it, you could try it a different way next time, adding something just a little different, and or same if you think it could be tweaked, or you know, it needs a little something extra, then again, if you make it again, try different ingredients, and or again, using what you have in the house. Again, as opposed to peas and carrots, somebody used, I think they had corn in their mixture, they had a mixed vegetable. I think one of them had green beans in it too. So you can use, again, fresh or frozen. I think somebody else used celery. It was carrots and celery, so fresh carrots and celery that you made up. So we get just a little bit more fluid out of here. So it's not going to be too watery when we put it in the pan. Okay, I've been cooking this for about 20 minutes now, and it's still juicy. It's still got water in here. I added a couple teaspoons of cornstarch to try to help soak up the fluid and make it, how can I say? So turn it off. To make it more creamy, I can tell that the meat mixture feels mushy. It feels like it's stuck together type of, like I'm assuming it's supposed to be. I think I added the peas and carrots too early, although I can't imagine the peas and carrots added this much fluid to the mixture. I was supposed to boil out all the water first, and then when that was done, then add the peas and carrots. But even still, you're supposed to not really have any fluid in here so that when you add the mashed potatoes on top, it'll nicely kind of adhere to the meat mixture. But at this point, I'm thinking, I've already cooked it long enough and it's still supposed to cook in the oven. So we're going to see how this goes. I don't know as though the cornstarch will have done anything to the taste of the mixture. We shall see. I kept thinking that, you know, it's like if you leave a pot of water boil, it'll boil out. It keeps, the water evaporates into the air, and I keep waiting for this to, you know, evaporate and cook out, and it's kind of not. So when you have it, you know, they flatten the pan, and I'm flattening it down with a spoon, I still see fluid on top, and it's like, well, I'm trying to have patience, but I'm kind of done. Like, this whole cooking process is taking longer than I expected. So at this point, when you know your meat mixture is done, your potatoes are done, we want to take, like I said, a baking pan, or you could use a Corningware dish or whatever you would like to cook it in. We're going to go ahead and pour the meat into this pan, and then we're going to top it with the potatoes. So I guess I'll do it over here. I'll bring you over. Preheat your oven to 375 degrees, and then we're going to go ahead and just dump this meat mixture in. Again, using whatever pan that you would like that will leave enough room on top of the meat here that we will put our potatoes. So we'll make this a nice flat even layer. It looks good. At this point, I'm like, I could just put this on my plate and dollop it with a spoonful of potatoes. It could be done. But we will make it properly, at least this time. See what we think. All right, and then bring our potatoes over. Oops, I need my fork. All right, and then we will kind of put these on by spoonful. You want to be gentle, so again, we're not bringing up the meat layer into the potatoes. So we'll just try to sparse this out across the top. You can also use an ice cream scoop for this, so that you can get more even layers and maybe closer. I'm going to use a tablespoon. And then make the potatoes look pretty on top. That's all part of the theme of it, the fun of it. Oh, this has been so much fun. Alright. So we will... Oh, I have to go grab a fork. Get all of these on here though. Alright, now with your fork, you want to spread out the potatoes and then make kind of a cute design on top. Make it look like the hills that the shepherds shepherded their sheep. Herded their sheep. I've seen some people with this layer put it in a piping bag and they piped out some cute little dollops on top, or some swirly rose. Again, this recipe one seemed that this was kind of more of, it's supposed to be an easier recipe. It was the easy way out with doing frozen vegetables instead of fresh, and using a fork instead of dolloping it and using water instead of wine. Alright, as long as it tastes good. So, make your little fork streaks. So again, it will look kind of pretty. All right. And we're going to then go ahead and cook this for about 30 minutes or until it starts browning on top. Timer has beeped. 30 minutes is up. So we will take this out. See how it looks, but it should be finished cooking. It'll be heated all the way through. And if we're lucky, yeah, we have a little bit of brownness on top. We still have a lot of that fluid. If you wanted it to be a little bit more brown all the way on top, you could put it under the broiler for a few minutes. But we'll let this go, let it sit for about 15 minutes, and then serve it up. The Irish shepherd's pie is finished. That was a journey, a long journey. That took a lot longer than I expected. Yeah, interesting. Let's give it a taste. It should still be warm enough. Let it sit for that little bit. Oh yeah, bottom of the plates. Warm to the touch. So we'll get some mashed potatoes in here, that meat, carrots, green beans. Trying to taste all the flavors. A lot of mashed potato. The cheesiness of the potatoes. So that's interesting. I don't usually put cheese in my potatoes. But it's good. It's a good taste. The meat doesn't taste any different to me than a ground beef, which is good. I was wondering if it was going to have kind of a gamey type of a taste or a different taste on the other vegetables. Don't really taste any of the seasoning. So, I get the meat taste in there. A little different than ground beef, but it's not overpowering. Tastes good. Tastes like a casserole. So, thoughts? I have lots of thoughts. at least it tastes good, so that's a win. As far as, like I said, it took a lot longer than I expected it to. The videos that I watched made it look very easy, made it look like the, you know, the fluid in the meat would have dissipated quickly. It said like 10 minutes. Like I said, I went 20 minutes and it was still fluidy. I thought, well, I'm going to continue. I think I probably even went actually even a little longer. And then I continued and I put in the extra ingredients and stuff, the seasonings. I didn't have the bottom of the pan get that glazed like other, again, videos showed. Maybe it was my pan. That's fine. The meat did get browned up like I did see in the video, so it's supposed to get kind of that dark brown. It doesn't taste burnt, which I was also kind of wondering about. I'm like, oh, did I overcook the meat? So, I mean, that's fine. And then after adding the extra ingredients, like I said, I did add the peas and carrots a little early. They were still frozen. Again, I saw a video that they added them frozen. I saw a recipe where it said defrost the frozen vegetables and drain them. I did like tip over the bag that I had, even though it was a steamable bag. There was no extra fluid in the bag. Again, the vegetables were frozen, so they probably had a little bit of water in them. So yeah, I did add those a little early, but again, it seemed like there was still fluid in the pan anyways. My stove got fairly messed up. A lot of the spitting and sputtering from the meat. Like when I saw other videos and saw the people kind of cooking the meat, I would see stuff flying. I thought maybe it was just they were mixing it too fast, and well, it also could partly be the meat. The stove top was messed up. I got the back of the stove. I got the top of the back of the stove. I even found some spatters on top of my hood. Like, oh, goodness gracious. So, at least during the 30-minute cooking time, I did get all the dishes washed and I got the stove wiped down. So we're clean, which is very nice. But, yeah, again, just a lot. And then having to put it back in the, the oven for another 30 minutes. In that respect, like, again, yeah, if you want it as a casserole dish, I guess you could make it ahead and then, put it in the fridge for a while and then before dinner pop it in the oven for the 30 minutes. As far as from what I was doing with all the cooking and, the mashed potatoes were done and the meat was done, it's kind of like I would almost just put it on a plate and put, whatever. I could put the meat on there, put the mashed potatoes on top. I could put them side by side if I didn't really want them touching type of. My daughters probably wouldn't. So it just seemed like a lot of extra, and it seemed like a lot. It was like, okay. I was trying to be patient with it, but patience is running a little thin. So, on that note, let me know if you guys, have you made shepherd's pie before? Are you Irish? I'm not Irish, I'm Polish. I don't even think I had a whole lot of like real Polish dishes. We had Polish sausage. But as far as dishes, yeah. So have you made shepherd's pie before? Have you eaten lamb before? Do you cook with lamb? Do it often? Does lamb spatter more than ground beef? Do you know? What else was I gonna ask? I think that's it. It's whether you're Irish or not. Like I said, this will be nice to make, and I guess for all that work, if I'm making it only once a year for St. Patrick's Day, again, it would not be as bad to make it more often if I took less time. Maybe again I would use the ground beef. I did find out that's called cottage pie if you use ground beef. For me, that would maybe go faster. And again, usually I drain the grease off of my ground beef. Again, the gal that I saw making the ground beef one, she didn't drain the grease either. But in any case, I like it. So I am going to go finish enjoying my lunch. You guys keep it positive. Go make it a great day. Bye-bye. Happy St. Patrick's Day.